Spend enough time in the wealthier districts of any major city, and you've seen them dominating the avenue. Massive, aggressively styled SUVs that look ready for a war zone, rolling down pristine downtown pavement. Look at this custom build. It's a prime example of the hyper SUV, a vehicle tailored strictly to command attention, prioritizing raw street presence over whatever the factory engineers originally intended. Underneath that deep red exterior sits a stock, ultra-luxury platform. Straight from the factory, these baseline vehicles cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and represent the pinnacle of quiet, perfectly tuned automotive engineering. But buyers of these bespoke builds aren't satisfied with the baseline. They pay massive six-figure premiums to aftermarket tuners to rip off those perfectly engineered factory parts and replace them to achieve this exact, imposing look. Purchasing one forces the vehicle to do two opposing jobs at once. You are wrapping a delicate, high-tech luxury lounge inside a heavy, loud mud terrain shell. To figure out if that massive premium is actually worth it, we run it through a reality check. This table shows the exact criteria we use to judge the true value of these builds. First up is aesthetic exclusivity. As you can see, the bespoke modifications easily max out this score. You are getting a true one-of-one look. But looking at engineering cohesion, the bespoke column drops straight to the bottom. That aggressive styling demands heavy mechanical sacrifices. We aren't grading this on how well it handles the school run. We are focusing entirely on the friction between the reality of daily driving and the marketing fantasy of off-road invincibility. The question to ask before buying isn't whether the vehicle looks intimidating, it's whether you will resent living with those compromises every single day. Most of these massive, aggressive SUVs spend their entire daily lives doing exactly 70 miles per hour on an interstate highway. But look closely at what connects this vehicle to the pavement. It rides on aggressive black alloy wheels wrapped in massive mud terrain tires. Those blocks of rubber do their job visually. They push the stance outward and provide the imposing, wide footprint required for the hyper SUV look. Out on the highway, however, those thick treads act like a drum. The noise, vibration, and harshness echoing into the cabin instantly ruin the quiet isolation the factory engineers spent billions perfecting. This chart tracks specific modifications, plotting their aesthetic impact against their detriment to drivability. Adding 50 pounds of tire and rim massively increases unsprung weight. That shreds tires on dry asphalt, pushing this mod into the top right quadrant. The exact modification that gives the vehicle its rugged identity is the primary reason you will be exhausted after a 2-hour road trip. Put the vehicle in a rocky desert or a rutted jungle trail. Glancing down at the nose, you see lowered front splitters, custom air dams, and expanded wheel arches mimicking rally styling. These structural additions guarantee a street presence that a standard factory car simply cannot compete with. But those same low-hanging splitters and rigid air dams wipe out your approach angles. Take this on an actual trail, and you will rip thousands of dollars of custom bodywork off on the very first rock. Updating the chart, the wide body kit lands high on aesthetics, but scores a moderate to high penalty on drivability. That expanded track width destroys your turning radius, making tight city parking an absolute chore. By adding custom bodywork to look invincible off-road, the owner has effectively guaranteed the vehicle can never safely leave the pavement. Then you step inside. The cabin environment is pristine, dominated by bright white leathers and delicate, highly polished surfaces. These bespoke aftermarket cabins frequently feature hand-stitched hides and custom veneers that easily push past $30,000. They are gorgeous, but incredibly fragile. The functional clash is impossible to ignore. You have aggressive, mud-flinging rubber on the outside and an interior tailored like a high-end yacht on the inside. If you actually engage in the messy off-road activities the exterior suggests, tracking dirt and moisture inside will permanently stain and ruin that delicate craftsmanship. The cabin successfully isolates the driver in supreme comfort, but acts as a massive financial deterrent from ever using the vehicle as a true utility machine. Look at the front-end modifications. You have a highly restrictive custom vertical grille, modified hood vents, and often completely rerouted exhaust piping. The sensory appeal is obvious. These upgrades deliver a throaty, aggressive exhaust note and a front fascia that dominates rearview mirrors. Altering factory engine cooling and exhaust flow triggers a hidden administrative cost. These specific aftermarket changes frequently void the manufacturer's powertrain warranty entirely. When a component fails, you can no longer drop it off at the local dealership for a convenient repair. You are forced to hunt down expensive, specialized mechanic networks who know how to work around your custom parts. The blind pursuit of a louder, more aggressive machine actively severs the safety net of factory engineering reliability. Stepping back to look at the vehicle as a complete piece of automotive art, the sheer scale of the build is undeniable. But after evaluating the components, the reality becomes clear. The hyper SUV prioritizes aesthetic dominance while completely abandoning engineering optimization. Writing the check for one of these is a purely emotional decision. It is not a practical tool, and it isn't a rational automotive investment. This bar chart compares the long-term financial hit. A factory luxury SUV depreciates on a standard, predictable curve. A bespoke aftermarket build takes a much steeper, far more volatile drop when it comes time to sell. You will undoubtedly own the road visually, but that dominance comes with a steep tax in maintenance, ride quality, and long-term financial loss. This decision tree starts with your primary priority, splitting buyers into two distinct paths: status and exclusivity versus drivability and resale. If you are a status optimizer, someone with a multi-car garage who is insensitive to extreme maintenance costs, you fall on the left side of the tree. For you, our recommendation is to proceed with the build. It serves perfectly as an occasional, high-impact statement piece. However, if you are a practical purist, someone who expects a reliable primary daily driver, a smooth highway ride, or genuine off-road capability, you follow the right path. For this buyer, avoid the aftermarket completely and retain the original factory specifications. Ultimately, the hyper SUV is a masterclass in compromise. Understanding exactly what engineering you are sacrificing is the only